there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to do a trailer breakdown for the movie Fatman, starring Mel Gibson and Walton Goggins. And starring Mel Gibson, I should clarify, as Santa Claus, and Walton Goggins as a hitman who has been hired to kill him. Um, this is this is such a goofy film. For a premise, but they play it almost like a dark comedy, at least in relation to the trailer. Again, it could just be advertising that's kind of playing around with that, but you know, we'll get into that. So let's dive into the trailer. So really, when we start at the trailer, we're starting out with a monologue by Mel Gibson, where he's talking about how shit's all messed up now and stuff like that. It shows him like punching a punching bag and stuff, and like sweat clothes. He has this big burly beard. And through the first part of this trailer, we're just kind of following him, and we're not 100. They don't really out and out say that he's Santa Claus, which I think is kind of funny. They kind of play that off a little bit. The only time we actually really hear him referred to as such is when they call him Chris at one point. There's these few people that call him Chris for Kris Kringle, which is Santa Claus's real name, and then they have a section where there's the kid who hires the hitman who yells out, "I'll get you, fat man," where that's basically, it's just a euphemism for Santa Claus, is the fat man, which again is the title of the film, which makes sense. But as we go through this first part, we kind of we understand like where Santa Claus is, I guess, from a mental state. His sleigh got shot at by some kids with a hunting rifle, at least according to him, although that could be Walton Goggins trying to kill him. But we go through this first part, and basically we understand a little bit about Santa, but he's kind of like this disgruntled old man. And then we also have a scene where it appears the U.S. government shows up, like the army shows up and wishes to hire Santa Claus to go do something, and we're not 100% sure what. Which that's really the main mystery for this. Like, I get the whole plot line of like the kid hires the hitman to go kill him, but like, why is the U.S. military involved for some reason? That's like the strange part to me. It feels a bit like Rare Exports, which is I think it's a Swedish film, if I remember correctly, or German. It's European in some way, and basically it's kind of like the real Santa Claus, who's like this demon monster thing, like a Krampus type of thing. But we go through the first part of the trailer, and then we get into really what the meat of it is, and we have this kid who, have you ever seen like kids that kind of look like adults? Like, you can tell what that kid is going to look like when he's an adult. That's kind of what this kid is, because he has like the cleft chin and stuff like that. He looks like your standard like preppy rich kid. He has a very punchable face. That kind of thing. And basically he's a dick, so Santa gives him a lump of coal for Christmas, and when he opens it up, he basically swears vengeance. And since he's filthy rich, and apparently he's emancipated, or somehow he has control over his own finances, he hires Walton Goggins, who's a hitman, to go kill Santa Claus. So Walton Goggins then proceeds to go track down Santa Claus I would assume somewhere around the North Pole, so Canada, I would guess. So he's going to go hunt down Santa Claus, and Walton Goggins hams this up to an extent, because every scene that we see him in, he's like making these puns, like, "Oh, I'm going to go hunting, I'm going to go kill stuff," and like when he gets stopped by a cop in his car and stuff. And she asks him what he's going to go do, stuff like that. I mean, he walks around with a silenced pistol. There's a portion of it where he's in like this winter like tactical gear, and he's basically assaulting like Santa's workshop and stuff. There's a couple of scenes in here where we actually see the elves, and they actually like all the elves eat is sugar. Basically, it's just sugar and candy, and apparently that's what keeps them alive. Apparently, and I don't know if they clarify that it's just Mel Gibson has like a giant, barn full of midgets making toys. But the other thing is, it's the military people who are talking to the elves. They say, "Oh, that's why you live so long. Does Chris do that too?" And then they just show like what he does, and he just drinks and does a bunch of drugs and stuff. Well, actually, I don't remember if he does much drugs, but he does drink. It just does a bunch of other stuff that's unhealthy for him. Like, no, he stays young because of the giving. It's like, no, that's not what it is. They also made Mrs. Claus black. Which, again, I don't really necessarily have a problem with, at least in this context, because this movie it appears to be kind of like a dark comedy in the vein of like a Fargo. Maybe that's just because the scenery is very familiar to me, but the tone of it seems a lot like Fargo, in the sense that it's It's very much a black comedy. It's very dark in what it's showing, but at the same time, the actors and or the characters are really kind of playing it up a little bit. Like, I mean, they're hammy, but they're hammy in a serious way, which again you kind of get with a dark comedy. So I like that about it. I like Mel Gibson as Santa Claus in this. He's very, very funny, at least from the way he's described. I mean, not from the way that he's described, but the way he presents himself is he's just like basically like an old pissed off drunk. And then at the end of the trailer, we see kind of this little face off between him and Walton Goggins, where they're like standing out in the snow, and Santa has a revolver, and Walton Goggins has like this assault rifle or something, it's like an M16 or an M4 or something that he's holding, and they're basically getting ready to like have a showdown and kill each other. But we don't necessarily know what the progression of things are in this movie. I mean, you can assume some things. You can assume, like, okay, Santa isn't, like, right off the bat maybe going to help the military. And, Walton Goggins, he has a steady progression through the trailer, so we kind of know where that storyline goes. There's a funny little conversation he actually has with the kid, where the kid asks for Santa's head, and he says, "Well, heads rot, sir." And then he goes, "Then cut off his beard." He's like, "I'm not cutting off a dead man's beard." And it's just, it's so goofy and stupid, and like the premise of it is insane. The premise of it is a kid who got a lump of coal for Christmas hired a hitman to murder Santa Claus, and there was actually a hitman who was willing to do it. That is ridiculous. It is hilarious, and I really actually want to see this movie. This looks really funny to me. It's rated R, so they're going to go to every kind of wrong you can imagine for this. I really haven't seen Santa Claus taken in this kind of a light before. I've seen them, obviously, they've done the horror movie thing. They have Santa Claus, which was spelled Claws, which was this stupid rip-off film. They also did Santa Slay, which Slay was spelled as Slay, I believe, because Santa was killing people. They've done those type of movies, which, I mean, it's goofy, but it's not goofy in like a dark comedy sort of way. It's goofy in an ironic way. I mean, it's intentional. I shouldn't say it isn't intentional, but it's goofy in a way that really doesn't. It's goofy for the sake of goofy. It's not goofy in a serious light. It knows tongue in cheek what it is. This feels like it's taking it a bit more serious. It's interesting. I like the take. I like the actors they got. I think Walter Goggins does a great job. I think Mel Gibson does a great job in the trailer. And I do want to see this movie. I think that this is actually pretty hilarious. And then, of course, Santa Claus has his little monologue at the end of the trailer where he's like, "I know everything about you." Like, because that's the other thing they do a little bit in this. Is a couple of scenes. There's a scene where he goes up to a guy at a bar, and he literally says, "Oh, how's Nicole and the kids?" And the guy turns to him and says, "Who are you?" But it's like the idea, like, okay, Santa's always watching. Santa knows. So somehow he actually has all the magical powers of Santa Claus. He's forever whatever age he happens to be. He knows everybody. He knows what you're doing. So that I would assume that would mean that he would also know Walton Goggins is coming for him as well, but I guess maybe that's a jump in logic, or maybe they're just kind of playing around with things in the trailer. That's for the musical choices in the trailer. It's very background noise. It's fairly pedestrian. I don't really count it as too much of a standout thing for this. I don't know if it may be just music that was composed for the trailer, or if it was actual music from the film, but that's fairly pedestrian. Then the action in the trailer, which, again, they don't show much actual action in the trailer, which I like. If there's going to be a decent amount of action in the film, I don't want it given away in the trailer, so that's kind of a good thing. Again, you have the military involved, you have the battle with Walter Goggins, and I assume elves and Santa Claus eventually. Because there is actually a scene where we see what I presume to be Walter Goggins from the back, and he has a bullet hole in his back, and he's actually bleeding pretty profusely. In addition to another scene where he looks like he throws either tear gas or just smoke grenades into the elves' workshop there, which looks like basically just an abandoned barn. And so there's a lot of different things going on in this trailer, but it doesn't tell you a whole lot other than the premise that apparently Santa Claus is doing something for the military, and Walton Goggins has been hired by a kid who got cold to kill Santa. That's really all we know. We don't know anything else really about this film other than the tone and some of the acting and some of the scenes and stuff. Other than that, those main points for the plot, which I like. this movie does not commit the cardinal sin of trailers. It does not give away the whole plot in the film in the trailer, which I do enjoy when movies tend to do that. But as usual, I'm going to link the trailer below in the description, and I want to know what you think. Put it in the comments below. Do you think this movie is going to be funny? Do you like this? Do you like Mel Gibson? Do you like Walton Goggins? Do you think the premise is ridiculous and funny, and it would probably work well for a dark comedy? As usual, put your thoughts in the comments below. I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit the like button. Subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?